Hello, hello. Welcome to an episode of the Real Relationships Real Estate Podcast. I'm Brandon.
And I'm Nick Doneff.
What's up, man? I'm excited for you to be on this podcast with me. I know this is something we've been talking about doing for a while, so
It is.
I'm excited that you are kicking off the inaugural episode, the very first one.
Oh, I didn't realize.
Yeah,
I'm
so
honored.
I shoot different podcasts, different things, but this is something a little different. This is designed for agents. This is designed for people who are in the real estate world actively producing as a real estate professional. And this is meant to be a resource, a guide. I'm going to be interviewing tons of agents across the board, new, experience, middle of the pack, talking about this crazy thing we do called real estate.
It is crazy to think what we do for sure. Take
Nick,
on many roles.
Nick is in the Woodlands area of the greater Houston area. What else is there to know about you as a real estate professional?
Oh man, I love to play golf. I like to drink bourbon. I like to watch movies with my wife. So there's not a lot to me. I'm a pretty simple-minded guy.
I think when it comes to real estate, a lot of people think we go to galas on the weekend and we do all this craziness, and you're like, man, I just want to watch Happy
It's
Gilmore.
not selling Sunset.
Have you watched the new Happy Gilmore?
I started it, and my wife, not being a golfer, for some weird reason, made me wait to watch it. So I'll be watching it this weekend.
I love that. Yeah, we haven't watched it yet. So, man, talk to me about what you do. So you are a real estate professional, and I think this is kind of cool that you're being on this episode. You are on a team, which is nice. So you get a different perspective. I'm a team leader in the greater Houston area with my
Yep.
wife, but you are on a team.
Mm-hmm.
You have been with your team for how long now?
Oh, January of 21, so a little over 4 years.
That's awesome. That's a long time.
In in real estate, in sales, careers in general, that can be a long time. The attrition is pretty high,
Yeah.
but especially in real estate for sure.
Yeah, so you've been through 2 major markets now on this team. So let's talk about that a little bit. Unpack that for me. So you went through COVID
Yep.
and you've gone through post-COVID now on this team. What is it like being a real estate agent in general, and then at a micro level, what is that like being on a team?
Yeah. I just if I could briefly touch on, entering the market in COVID, I think the number one thing that I get as a reaction when I tell people, "Oh, when did you start doing real estate?" "Oh, 2021." "Oh my god, that must have been a crazy year. That was probably awesome." Some people may or may not know. We got a lot of agents on here, but if we got agents listening, they probably realize that when you start out in this industry, typically you're starting out helping buyers. You're not just jumping into it and, having a ton of houses to list. Maybe you do, maybe you have a great network of people, that's possible. But I think in general, a lot of people start as a buyer's agent. In fact, I know teams that were hiring and they would only allow you to be a buyer's agent. So a lot of times when you start out, they want you to get to know the ropes by being a buyer's agent. And let me tell you, in 2021, there were a lot of buyers, but it was not fun. You got to learn very much very quickly writing. I had one client I wrote 17 offers for,
Oh my gosh.
and none of them got accepted. So, went through the ringer there. And then, my experience being on a team versus maybe an individual agent, um, I think I just had a lot of people to lean on, a lot of people to talk to, through that. Um, Having those conversations every day with agents, if you're out there by yourself solo, and every brokerage is going to provide, a different level of support system. But I was really fortunate to, have those people to lean on and use their experience as my experience. I mean, I certainly don't want to advertise myself as something that I'm not, but I can lean on and say, hey, between my team, collectively, we have this much experience or sold this many homes. And I think it's important for people to be able to lean on their team's experience. And, you know, part of that is also knowing your own limitations. Knowing the things that you don't know, and whether you communicate with that with your buyer or seller. Sometimes I might communicate, hey guys, I don't know. Let me step out. Let me find out. Let me reach out to my network. And other times you don't have to necessarily tell them. You just go to your team, you go to your brokerage, you go to your friends that are real estate agents, and you say, hey, here's a situation I'm going through. What's your take on it? But again, just leaning on the experience of other people. was hugely beneficial starting out. But I think I had a larger support network, in my opinion, or a closer support network, maybe I should say, uh, starting out on the team.
Yeah, it could have been pretty disheartening during COVID to like go through and write 17 offers. And, most people, I think, especially when this is your sole income. I don't know about you, but this is my sole income.
Yeah,
Especially since my wife and I run a team together. Like there's no plan B.
it's all in.
That's we are all in. It can be pretty disheartening writing 17 offers and having that support around you is so important to have people that are going to push you through it, help you figure out, maybe I need to change this in my offer. Maybe I need to come up with a different strategy. Maybe we need to look in another freaking neighborhood so I don't have to worry about getting an offer rejected.
Yeah.
I think that's so important. Okay, so we know what COVID was like. COVID was nuts. And if you're listening to this and you get in, 23, 24, uh, you don't know what writing 17 offers on a property is like. Be glad that you do not have to deal with that. I personally, when I get a buyer, I feel like it's an easier market for us because I can go do what I do best, which is negotiate. We did nothing but give during COVID.
Yeah.
Every buyer was conceding something. 20K over asking, 50K, 100K over asking.
2-day option period.
0-day option periods, waiving your appraisals. I mean, just all this craziness. And we did it, right? We did what we had to do. And I think one of the things, and we'll kind of come into this now, but one of the things that we're seeing as a result of that, if you're a real estate agent and you're going on a listing appointment, there's people that paid 20, 30K, maybe more than they should have right before the market corrected.
Yeah.
And now they're stuck in this house.
I mean, yeah, and I think that's an interesting point to bring up because every situation is gonna be unique and different. Was that a mistake? It depends. Are they trying to sell now? Maybe. Maybe that was a mistake. Maybe it wasn't. Maybe they got their, enjoyment or satisfaction out of it and it was worth it to them. But, even if they paid, let's just say $100,000 over asking, but their interest rate is 3 percentage points lower, then was 100K, yes, they can't sell, maybe they can't sell it for that same 100K more now, so they're upside down in equity, but their payment looks a hell of a lot better than a
Sure.
house that was 200,000.
So let me ask you this. So are you going on listing appointments where you're having to turn listings down because they can't sell because the prices are upside down?
Yeah, actually, I've been on a couple. I'm not gonna say it's, like, rampant. Um, you know,
It's rampant for us. I just want to share that. It is nuts right now for
for
us.
me, I wouldn't call it rampant. I am running across that, absolutely. People that are I had one situation where it was it's some townhouses. I call them townhouses. They're not connected. They're freestanding homes, single family homes, but they kind of look like those row vertical, zero lot line, 3,000 square foot lots.
Yeah.
And they built 6 identical floor plans right next to each other. No HOA, things like that. So they could do whatever they wanted. They'd say, but these 6 uh, identical ones, and I was talking to my client who decided to purchase before selling. And there's risks involved with that. That's a whole different topic, but they decided to buy before they sold. And then a week before we were getting ready to list, their neighbor hit the market with an identical floor plan. Luckily, we were planning on listing it for cheaper, but it's just immediate competition. That sucked. Then I got a phone call, the neighbor next to them, who they were good friends with. Turns out they wanted to sell too. So we had three identical houses in a row.
And you own two of the listings.
Well, we ended up not listing the second one. I talked to them and I'm like, hey guys, like, I think, what are your goals? Tell me what you're trying to do. And I talked to them about their goals. And I said, hey, let's, test the market. Let's see what happens with the one that's already for sale. Let's see what the one, your neighbor that already bought before they sold. So they're in a position they can't hold off. They don't have any flexibility. They need to put it on the market now.
Yeah.
You guys have the flexibility. And that was their situation. I'm not just telling them don't list your house. I'm asking them the questions. Hey, what are your goals?
Yeah, but this is pretty uncommon, right? Like I think something that's important here, if you're listening to this, like you should not be afraid to tell a seller, I am not going to list your house.
No, and so in this situation, it was a little different. I just kept updating on what happened. Eventually, the house that was next door, that was not my listing, I think it got foreclosed on, if I'm being honest with you. Our house, we ended up renting it, not being able to sell it. And then I'm talking to the third potential, the neighbor, other and friend next door, and I'm saying, hey, like, here's the traction we're getting, here's the number of showings we're getting.
Sure.
Like, at this point, I think we'd have to list it at X. And based on the fact that you told me you bought it for Y and OZ, I don't think this makes sense for your goals. Tell me if I'm wrong.
Sure.
And so it wasn't, again, I'm not necessarily going to tell them. I'm going to say, based on what you're telling me, it may or may not make sense for these reasons. I mean, I'm always going to say you pick the path, right? Like I can lay out the options if you decide.
So choose your own adventure
It
book.
really is. I mean, I'm going to say, hey, if you do this, this will most likely happen. If you do this, you're likely going to have to write a check to, sell your house. And that doesn't sound like
Yeah,
an
and
awful
we're
option.
seeing that a ton right now. I wanna, like, clarify, like, agents, you need to do a net sheet with your sellers when you sit down with them or before you go to the appointment. If you have an MLS like ours, you can kinda see how much equity they have in the house, and, we use tools Fidelity National One, app, we use them to do our net sheet, and, it gives us within a couple $100 of what they're actually gonna pay. We are seeing sellers write checks right now. And if
Yes.
you're an agent in this market, you need to prepare your sellers for that. That hey, there was a chance. We have an agent on our team. He's under contract. He's a buyer's agent. The seller is writing a 7K check to close on this house.
Yep. I closed on a house, I want to say in February of this year. They read about a $4,000 check to sell their house. Yeah. And the house that we ended up not being able to sell and ended up renting this month, if they had been able to sell it for what we had it listed for, they were going to write about a $10,000 check.
And I want to unpack this for a second, real quick. As a real estate professional, um, and I don't know about you, but in my business, like I'll see what I can do. I will see if I can cut somewhere, and normally in those types of situations, especially you know if the vibe's there, I think we can get to a place where, hey, I can take care of you. I can, cut some of my commission to cut some of your costs.
Yeah, and I won't get into specifics for legal reasons, but the one in February, we were going back and forth with this agent, the buyer's agent and myself as the listing agent. And we were back and forth on numbers. And eventually we got to a point where we were like extremely close, but neither the seller was willing to come down anymore. He was already writing a check and the buyer wasn't willing to come up anymore. And so, I had a conversation with the buyer's agent. I said, hey, if I cut X amount out of my commission, will you, match that? And they did.
We did the
We
same.
got together and, it was an effort. It wasn't just me giving away or the buyer's agent conceding. It was a meet in the middle situation where two agents worked together to find a creative solution for a buyer and seller. We had a seller that wanted to sell and a buyer that wanted to buy. And, we were able to, get that last mile.
We had to do that earlier this year, except we had to tell the agent, hey, this thing isn't closing because they got a payoff statement, and for some reason or another, they owed more than they thought.
Oh,
And part of it is, sellers who end up, they're moving within that 3-year time span if they had a down payment assistance. We're seeing that a lot right now. So we told them, we're like, hey, you're going to have to reduce your commission. We are also reducing our commission just to make this close.
yeah. And what you just brought up was something I was going to talk about earlier. And it was the big thing is the one question I get for people is now a good time to buy? Is now a good time to sell? And I won't get in my normal answer, but specifically for the buyers out there, I always tell them if you're going to live in it, you really want to have a goal of minimum of 5 years, if not closer to 10. Is that realistic? Do people change their lives a lot? Death, divorce, babies, move, relocation for work. Like things happen that you can't plan on. But if the goal should be a minimum of 5 years. And I think the problem is we're seeing a lot of sellers that have owned for less than that. We're seeing a lot of sellers that have owned for 2 and 3 years and had, crazy promotions where the interest rate was extremely low or they did a $0 down payment. I mean, I saw that from some builders that were doing a $0 payment. And so they have no equity. If you have no equity and the price, if the home didn't go up in value that much after closing costs, like, yeah, they're writing checks, man. It's just,
So you're essentially telling these sellers, you're like, hey, like, we need to figure out what the best solution is, but we may not have a solution for you. Is that kind of what I'm hearing?
yes. I mean, yeah, the solution, I mean, and when you say that, yeah, there's always a solution. You can write
Stay in your house.
yeah, I mean, or you can write a check for 50 grand. But when I say that's a solution, they might not have the ability to, go down
Sure.
that.
Okay. So let me ask you this then. So we talked about what it was like during COVID being on a team. What is it like now in this post-COVID market? 23 rates shot up tremendously. 24 was one of the worst years. 25 is trending to be one of the worst years. what does that look like being on a team this year when you are dealing with, um, taking listing appointments that may never list because they don't have enough equity, or having to have people rent their houses or write checks. Like, what does that look like from a agent perspective of like, are you, and I don't know your team and your situation. Are you bringing in a more experienced agent to come take a listing appointment with you to make sure that, you guys can handle objections and scripts and things like that?
I mean, the short answer is not really. Are we sharing our experiences and, "Hey, I went through this," and again, I can lean on the stories that I'm hearing because we're meeting consistently and talking about the difficulties that we're all going through right now. If there's a specialty situation, I had a home, it was a luxury property and quite frankly, a little outside of my wheelhouse, and I brought in an agent on my team who lives in the neighborhood, who has built homes in that neighborhood, who has bought and sold dozens of homes in that neighborhood specifically. And I did bring them along to lean on again their expertise and bring them with me. So yeah, I did have that ability. That's a one-off scenario though. I would say it's more about again the consistent conversations that you're having. So you're multiplying your experience by, if I'm experiencing this once or twice and you're experiencing that once or twice, combined, we're experiencing it four times and we can figure out four different solutions. And that's what the great thing about real estate though is every transaction is slightly unique. They might have, when it boils down to it, you can say, okay, you can identify some simple common scenarios, but each one of them is gonna have their own nuance. But then if you boil it down and go, "Okay, let's talk about what the solutions are for those problems." And again, they might be slightly, variants. But beyond that, I mean, you're asking me specifically what the team experience is. The hard part for me when you ask me this question is I've only been on a team. I've never been a solo agent. So I can't give you a lot of perspective. I can tell you what I'm going through and what we're doing as a team, but I can't tell you how that's going to be different for somebody that isn't on a team because I've never really experienced it.
Sure. Well, and I think something that's important here, Nick, is that you have been through two market shifts where you have people around you to support you and give you guidance. I know plenty of people in this industry who have gotten out of the industry because they just couldn't make it. And if they couldn't make it during COVID, they're not making it now.
Yeah.
So having that support around you, and I think this is what's really important. If you're listening to this and you're a newer agent and you're like, I feel like I'm on an island, go find a team to be a part of. Go find people you can collaborate with regularly, bounce your ideas off of. I was just on the phone with an agent of mine
I'm
today.
if I can interrupt
Yeah,
for just a second, you don't have to go join a team. I mean, I do think that that's probably the future of real estate. I think teams are becoming more and more common. And I think that'll be a trend that will continue. But I think it's important, like we're on different teams
yeah,
and we're collaborating together on this. Go just be with like-minded people. Go have
sure.
conversations with other agents. Start a group of agents. When I say a group, whether it's you get together socially, you help each other film, you meet once a month for a happy hour and just discuss things that are going on. It doesn't have to be that you have to join a team and share commissions or, join a team and change brokerages. Just go put yourself out there and find like-minded individuals that you can have conversations about real estate with.
Sure. I think one of the things though that a lot of people are missing right now, outside of that collaboration, I think they're missing the structure. So a lot of real estate agents get into this world and they go, "Oh, well, I can just be my own boss." And then they don't do crap all day. They're like, "No wonder I'm broke."
Yeah.
Right? So I think that to me, when I think of, cuz I was a solo agent, I was on a team, then was a solo agent, went back on a team, and then started my team with my wife. I think one of the things I valued the most was like coming into an office and having structure and things like that. Like I love coming into this office now and we meet more regularly now. We do trainings in the office here. And it's just that I feel more connected to my agents and I'm sure they feel more connected to me, the team, to each other just by being around each other. Like you said, that community, that
Yeah.
camaraderie, that collaboration. And yes, 100%. Like some agents are not meant to be on a team, and I 100% agree with that. And I do agree with you. We are moving to a team structure in the world, especially as AI continues and Zillow continues to do what they're doing, and all these other big companies are starting to move to salary models and all this craziness going on out there. The reality is that you have to find the model that works for you. But I do think, man, and I applaud you because you were on a team where you have people, experienced people. I know your team leader very well. You have people around you that can give you If you don't have the answer, they're going to give you the answer. They're going to give you the insight. They're going to help you get to the finish line.
Yeah.
So it's definitely it's a different market, different world. My question to you, and I think this is something that if somebody's listening to this, if you get anything out of this, I really want you to take this away. No pressure, but depending on the answer,
Oh God.
what is the one thing that is working for you right now in your business that you're like, man, if I could just do this 10 times a day, every day, I would make more money, be happier, sell more homes, serve my clients better, work at a higher level.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. No pressure there. And I'm going to give you an answer, and I'm going to say that I'm not the greatest at doing it. It's
Well, that's why I added the caveat of like, what do you think's working really well that if you did better?
yes. If I did better, right? So that's I think the key there. And it gives back to kind of what you talked about with structure and things like that. And I think that owning your day, uh,
Mm,
time blocking, um, knowing what you're doing every hour of the day, and sure, it's real estate. Client calls me and says, "I wanna go see this house." If I'm not absolutely locked into something, like, yeah, I'm gonna go show them a house, especially right now when we need more buyers. But, I think having a plan, sticking to it, being consistent, I mean, it's the dumbest answer in the world, and you probably heard
it's
a
so
million
no,
times, but
it's great because it's so mundane and it is the exact thing. So I literally just talked to my agents about this. We have a process. Why would we change the process and chase something new and shiny when, I think about like Mike Ferry, right? Not Tom Ferry, Mike, right?
okay.
I think about, Gary Keller, and I think about the people that have come before us. It works the same way it did 40 years ago. We just added extra things and called it pretty and said, we need to do this now. If you're sending a video text to someone, you're still prospecting and following up. You're just doing it in a way that works for you,
Sure.
right? You're still consistently following up. You're still prospecting, right? And I think that's so important is that consistency and being married to your calendar. I'm telling you right now, like that was gold. That was worth, I told this in a coaching session with one of my agents the other day. I said, there's $100,000 in your calendar right now. You just have to go get it.
Yeah.
If you are committed and married to your calendar, like you're married, right?
Yeah.
You guys have date night, right?
Uh, every night's date night.
Uh,
We're both, flexible, but
when you commit to those things, when you commit to a regular schedule, you start to come to just get in the habit of doing these things, right? You're going to wake up at X time every day. For me, I get up, I meditate, I run our team huddle, we get into script practice, we do lead generation, right? That's what our schedule looks like. And that doesn't change. I don't let someone else's emergency come into my day for that. So if you're an agent and you're like, how do I get better? You 100% commit to your calendar. If you don't have clients, you need to go find clients. If you're like, hey, I need to go, tour models to shoot content, cool, you're going to go shoot content. Like we shoot content every week. This is my content day. This is my content time,
right.
right? I'm committed to these times. So I love that. That's an amazing answer. And I tell you this, like as a friend, that's huge that you recognize that and that you could grow in that area. But just as a professional, I'm telling you right now, like there are people who do not understand the power of that answer.
Yeah, I mean, and it's applicable in a lot of different things, not just real estate. It's applicable in a lot of different ways.
Mary, every Monday, I run the team meeting. She doesn't even come to the office anymore. She's doing grocery shopping. But that's on her calendar. That's what she does.
Right.
And she doesn't let. She's like, I get a cup of coffee on the way to the grocery store, and I do that every Monday. She is scheduled. Guess what? I go play pickleball the same times every single night.
I gotta tell you, this is so random, but Sunday night, like 7 p.m., best time to the grocery store. Nobody
Are
there.
you gonna put that on your calendar?
I'm
Go to the grocery store
yes.
at 7 o'clock at night. Oh, I love this, dude. I think this is so important for people to hear. As a real estate professional, it is your job to show the level of commitment that you do to your clients, to yourself, and to your calendar.
Yeah.
Um, and it's funny because I don't think that that was the intention of this episode. But if you leave with anything, listen to me when I say this. You have an obligation to your family, to yourself, and to your clients to live, eat, sleep, breathe, die by your calendar. I remember hearing that when I started out at KW. Um, I was in some sort of training and they were like, if it's not on the calendar, it doesn't, I think it was in bold or something. If it's not on the calendar, it doesn't exist. I was like, oh, this is so hokey. But I remember, like, now, years later,
How relevant that still
how
is.
relevant it is to my business.
Yeah.
We keep our appointments. We keep our commitments, right? We become a better leader, a better human, a better person just because we keep our commitments. Um, and I think that that's so important. So, what's next for you? So, you are actively working with clients. You are growing as a real estate professional. What is what does the next level of your business look like as we get ready going into the last part of this year?
Oh, man. Next level of my business. I mean, it's I think getting back to the consistency thing and not and I don't mean that generically, I'm gonna be specific about it this time in saying that, we're always chasing something, and then once we have something, we're so hyper focused on that thing, and then we're chasing something, and then we get something, and then we're focused on that thing. Um, and I think, talking about consistency is making sure that you're still focused on getting as much as what you already have,
Hmm.
all the time. And, it's the beginning, and if I'm gonna bring the episode full circle, you talk about 2 market shifts that I've been through, and it seems like every year I'm guessing, which, it's like, the first 2 years of my real estate career, I'm like, "Oh my god, if I just had some sellers, I would, so much
You
money.
breaking it.
I would just be I would be sleeping on a bed of mattress, a mattress of money, I meant. And then now it's like, if I just had 15 buyers, there are all the options in the world, and I will get them the best deal out there because they're there to be had. And so it's like I'm chasing the sellers, I'm chasing the buyers, I'm chasing the seller, I'm chasing just do both all the time. Do it all the time.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the natural progression of a real estate agent is, if you've ever read The Millionaire Real Estate Agent, it goes from being the buyer's agent, right, starting out as that buyer's agent, then becoming a listing agent because he or she who controls the listings control the market,
Absolutely.
and I think that that's something the buyers will come from that. The more listings you take, the more sign calls you get, the more HAR leads you get, the more
Absolutely.
Zillow calls you get, whatever. And so I love that. And so be consistent in that. So um, if I may, I
Yeah.
would love to give you three things that have worked recently for us to be more consistent.
Please.
Um, First and foremost, in some of you are listening to this, you're going to hear a lot in our industry right now. 20 connects a day, 22-minute conversations a day. Dustin Runyon, friend of mine, amazing coach in this world. He's high on this. A lot of people are. My team standard, 5 connects a day, 5 2-minute conversations a day. And when you look at that, nothing else exists on my calendar until those things happen. And for my team, none of those things exist anything else in the day. Hey, I want to go to dinner with my friends. Hey, I want to go do this. I made my connects today. Right? It doesn't matter if we're chasing buyers or sellers, but 2 minute conversations, whether that's through Facebook, whether that's video message, voice message, conversations that move the needle to get you across the line.
Yeah.
That's number one. 100% commit to connecting with more people daily. The second thing is focus on a niche that has worked and will continue to work. Right now, we are all in on new construction.
Oh man. I I don't know if we have enough time in the day. I'm on board with that. I would that's a whole I could do a whole nother podcast on new
No,
construction.
100%. And as an agent, you should focus on the thing that works for you. Some people don't have new construction in their market, so that's we won't focus on that. Like we're working with a lot of investors right now, and they're investing in new construction. There's a lot there that you can do, but focus on the niche. Whether that's hey, you live in a coastal town where there's nothing but Airbnbs and VRBOs and short term rentals, right? You can focus on that. Find your niche. So number one, and obviously like this is to you, but also the people listening, right? We commit to the connects a day. 5 connects a day for me personally. That's my standard on my team. Number 2 is pick the niche and stick with the niche. Don't just go, "Oh, well, this isn't working for 2 weeks, so I'm gonna go to something else now," right?
Right.
Well, I'm gonna go to probates, which works, but I'm just saying, don't give up. Put 90 days into it and see how it works. Be intentional with that. And the third thing that I will say that has been so tremendously helpful this year is work on ourselves. If you're listening to this and you're like, "I wanna be a better human," you gotta go either A, like you said, be around people that are the people you wanna be with, right?
Yeah.
Or you need to read on how to be a better person. I read the Let Them well, actually, I listened to the audio of the Let Them theory this year.
That seems like cheating, but all right.
Yeah, but
I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
listening. No,
I'm an
I'm
audiobook.
gonna
I'm an audiobook guy.
defend myself here.
I'm just giving you a hard time.
Listening to Mel Robbins narrate it, she gives a little bit more. She gives some more context in it. It actually helps. Like she narrated the book herself. It was very good. I was very impressed with it. And I've learned a lot, and I'm still working on that. But if you can commit to talking to 5 people a day, you can focus on one specific lead source that you want to work a niche, and you work on yourself. There is no reason why you can't succeed in a market like this, where it's the lowest sales since God knows when. Everything's on fire. Everyone hates selling real estate, yet people keep thriving, right? And this is a humble brag, but our we have agents who are closing ton of business, more business than people do in a year, right? We're having the best year since 2022. It's not because we just like kept wishing and hoping. We got into alignment with what we wanted to do and we committed to those things daily. So I think
I'm sorry. You tell me wishing and hoping is not a strategy.
it is not.
Oh shit.
And if you if you're an agent listening to this right now, I promise you, we have a lot of faith, right? We're very devout in our faith, and we talk about our faith a lot, and that has a lot to do with it. But faith requires action too. We have to show that we are believing that it's going to happen. And I think that there's a lot of people that are just sitting there praying and saying, "Hey, I hope 6 deals show up on my lap next month." It's not going to happen. You got to put in the work. You got to connect with people, have meaningful conversations with people, and call the dang leads. Stop worrying about what they're going to say and call them. Nick, you powered through 31 minutes with me.
Wow.
I'm proud of you.
Yeah, I need a refill on this water.
Yeah,
My mouth is like cotton now.
I love it. I love it. Okay,
Thank you for
so
having me on.
absolutely. So, Nick, if people would like to connect with you and maybe they're curious about joining a team, maybe they want to go on their own, they just want to know what it's like being an agent, what is the best way to connect with you?
Huh. Text me.
Okay, we can't give out your phone number on
Yeah.
here. So,
But
what's your social handle?
yeah, it's Nick Nick_Doneff, like my last name, Doneff, Nick_Doneff. You can look me up on Instagram and shoot me a DM.
Shoot him a DM and talk to him about things. If you want to get a hold of us, you can always reach out to me at Will the Real BS Please Stand Up. You can also find me on Facebook, or you can find our team on Instagram as well at SSGHTX. We love it. It's an episode that we just did of the Real Relationships Real Estate Podcast, and man, I'm super stoked. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Yeah, thanks. I was honored to be here.